Okay, welcome back. And today we got a fun little treat. We have Super Mario Brothers 2 Japan. Sometimes, excuse me, sometimes in the West we call it the Lost Levels. I simply refer to it as Super Mario Brothers 2 Japan. I really feel as though here in the year 2024, there's really no reason to go into Doki Doki Panic, Super Mario Brothers 2 USA, Super Mario Brothers 2 Japan, whatever. I'm just going to assume that you know the difference and why. Now, what I will say is that it does amuse me that it's kind of an interesting thought. Like, this game feels completely alien to me. I've played it a handful of times, uh, mostly on the Super Nintendo cartridge, where it is the Super Mario All Stars Super Mario World cartridge, which has the Lost Levels on it. But that has the updated graphics, which look nice, but honestly, I'd rather play it with its original graphics. And by the way, here is where I make an exception for reproduction cartridges. If it is, this is a cartridge that I bought from Golden Age Games, uh, an online company that specializes in reproduction cartridges for hard to hard to get games. And they're not cheap flash cartridges either. You pay a little more, but you get. I don't know exactly. I meant to do my. Forgive me for not doing my due diligence and figuring out whether or not it was in actual board. But I know that they advertise as being much more than a flash cartridge. So I don't have the technical specifics on me, but regardless, I highly recommend it. I did play a couple years back another cartridge that I bought from them, which is Donkey Kong with the missing cement factory board or pie factory board, it's sometimes called. Because Donkey Kong on the NES, it only has the three boards. You know, the girder stage, the springboard stage, and the rivet stage. It's missing the pie factory or cement factory. So I have that, and I have this Super Mario Brothers 2 Japan. But like I was getting to, I will say that it does amuse me that there are, depending on where you lived, if you're in the United States and you were someone that grew up with the NES, this will feel somewhat foreign to you and somewhat alien. It's because you're much more familiar with Super Mario Brothers 2 USA, but if you're on the other side of the world, this game feels very intimate and familiar, whereas Super Mario Brothers 2 USA will seem strange. And I just wanted to say one more thing before I get started, and that is I do make the exception. I usually am very much only about vintage cartridges when I play vintage cartridges on my NES Kevtris, but this is an exception I have to make. I have to. There is no authentic Super Mario Brothers 2 Japan cartridge. So we make do. We're playing a repro cart, and we're going to have some fun. I'm not very good at this game. We're going to go ahead and get started. Something else about Super Mario Brothers 2 Japan. This is not a game that holds your hand. This is a game that assumes that you played the original Super Mario Brothers and mastered all the tricks. So this game is quite a bit harder than Super Mario Brothers 2, or excuse me, Super Mario Brothers 1 on the NES. Whoa, no. And there are a few new mechanics, like you will see bloopers flying around in the non-underwater levels. You will also see those springboards that spring you up much higher. And I did play this game a couple of times before recording, so I do have a little bit. I'm not going in completely cold. Ah, there we go. Let's see, is it gonna wait for me? Nope, I outran it. One mechanic that's interesting is there are warp zones that will warp you back. All kinds of interesting things about this game. So I kind of wanted to do a chill-out game in the future. And I was thinking, well, you know, so many games require a lot of concentration. Sometimes it can be hard to keep a topic going. How would you all feel about me doing? There's an above-ground blooper. But how would you all feel about me doing like Animal Crossing for a few, for a little bit on the, not more than one video, maybe just one. I did play some Animal Crossing. Unfortunately, my kids have kind of outgrown it. They used to like it, and the little island is, it's mostly cluttered with their stuff. So it's kind of fun to look at. Would be fun just to wander around Animal Crossing and do a chill out video, but whatever, if no one's interested, it's no big deal. Alright, let's see if we can keep the fire flower. Alright, well done. Let's try and get some points off Bowser. And here's one cool mechanic that was missing from the original Super Mario Brothers 1. You actually get your time converted to points. In the original, you didn't get points for time left after the castle. And I know points are meaningless, but I do it anyway. There might be a secret hidden in there somewhere, but I don't know where it is. There's the super sprig mechanic. And I believe there is a secret vine. It might lead us to a warp zone, and I don't want to go to a warp zone. Oh, I got an extra life. Alright, this one, I lost a couple lives here when I did this a few days ago. There we go. So I've been watching a little more of that channel, Toy Federation, about, you know, the store, and... Oh! That's what happens when you stop concentrating. The shop, it's a toy shop that sells, you know, retro and vintage toys. Maybe I should stop talking. But anyway, as I was watching a little bit more of their content, really getting into it, enjoying it, I started having sort of like a philosophical discussion with myself about toy collecting. You know, obviously collecting stuff that's still in the package from the 80s and 90s. Stuff like the real Ghostbusters or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Playmates. Pretty expensive these days because those were toys that, you know, where kids loved the cartoons, and so when kids got the toys, they opened them and played with them. It's not like, you know, when you think of like a toy line like, oh, whoa, careful. Like G.I. Joe or Transformers, there were lots of adults that, you know, really liked those and collected them. So, you know, even though it's expensive to get like vintage G.I. Joes or Transformers from the 80s, not so much the real Ghostbusters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That stuff, because so much of it was, you know, opened and played with, there's just not a lot. How am I supposed to? I swear I was holding to the right. Maybe I have to jump. But just not a lot of it, you know, survived. So there's very little the real Ghostbusters or Ninja Turtles. And when it shows up, you have to pay a premium. So it just got me thinking about, and I think same thing with Masters of the Universe too, the old He-Man action figures. It got me thinking about if you are someone that's into, maybe not like super passionately into collecting that stuff, but if you just wanted to have it, I highly recommend you look for stuff that's, you know, loose, complete. Just like with retro game collecting, it's like, you know, my pal Rockin' Cats was telling me he likes to get stuff complete in box, and that is very expensive. If, maybe, you know, he's, I guess he's gotten really good at it, but I would never, I don't know, I think, I'm okay with stuff. Good on him, but I'm okay with stuff, a little bit more accessible. I'm okay with just, the cartridge by itself. But, however, I will say this, I do not look, I know a lot of collectors are really into, it has to have a clean label. You know, they don't want label damage. I'm the opposite. I'm okay with some label damage because it means it is authentic. Oh no, is this a back warp? Yeah. Alright, so you get to see the warp zone backwards. Oops. Alright, so we'll take a warp zone forwards then. the warp zone at the end of the second level, we'll go ahead and do that. And I know I'm missing a bunch of hidden one-ups. Oh well. But yeah, label damage that looks... You obviously don't want something that's completely mangled. But some labelware is, in my opinion, if you're collecting retro games, preferable to a clean label, because it means that, you know, if it shows that the game is in fact aged and is very likely authentic. Oh good, I didn't outrun the one-up this time. But I also missed the warp zone. I would like to show off at least one underwater level. Pity we haven't we haven't gotten that far yet. You know, I enjoy this game so much. Maybe at some point I'll, you know, get good at it and then upload a video of me having a dominant run. Something else that occurred to me, a couple other points about retro toy collecting. One is Funko Pops. Now, personally, I know when it comes to anything that's popular, if you have an unpopular opinion, you know, something that's really hot, you say, I don't like it. It becomes one of those situations where everyone's like, well, I never thought that was good or whatever. Kind of the case with Funko Pops. everyone bought these stupid things, and I never saw the appeal. And I'm sounding like that guy who said, well, I, was against it first, or I was the one that thought of it first. No, I'm really not trying to say it. Actually, I think there's quite a few persons that can make the claim that they also never thought Funko Pops were appealing. I don't know how these... I heard someone call it the Beanie Babies of our era, and I think that is right on the nose. Alright, hopefully maybe this will take us to a warp zone. Or is it just coin heaven? Yeah, I've always thought Funko Pops were ugly. Never saw the appeal. My favorite figure line, I have a few figures, but I always loved anything from McFarlane. The sports figures, the horror icons always look good. The military action figures that he did. Like, I have some really nice sports action figures from McFarlane. I got a really great one of Barry Sanders, my favorite football player of all time. I've got another great one of... I got two of Barry Bonds, my favorite baseball player of all time. One's a really nice commemorative figure of him when he was breaking Hank Aaron's record on the Giants. But he always puts so much detail into his figures. It's great. And one of the blessings and curses of the McFarlane figures, whether it's, the horror, the military, the sports, is they display so nicely in the box that, the card always looks fine or good. The figure itself looks good. It's usually posed well inside the package. That most of these figures probably aren't opened. I know for sure probably the horror figures, because there's so many Friday the 13th fanatics. When they get like a really nice figure of Jason Voorhees that, by McFarlane or whatever, and it displays really nicely, you're not going to open it. You're going to, hang it on the shelf and admire it. There's one video where, on Toy Federation, where someone comes in to unload a bunch of, like Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre figures most of which I think were from McFarlane, and he doesn't get a very good offer because... Oh, good. I was able to make it that time. But he doesn't get a good offer because You know, it's just one of those things where those figures, nobody opened them. Everyone that bought them loved them and kept them in the package. Let's see, am I supposed to just run across? All right, we're not going down any pipes. Ugh. Oh, I said we weren't going to go down any pipes. Oh, we finally gonna get to do an underwater level? Yes! And we have a fire flower. We got Koopas underwater. Is this one of those repeating sections? Oh man, I got sucked in. Alright, I guess we just... Pretty tough level. I wish I got caught goofing off though. Alright, let's be a little bit smarter. So basically I'm at the age where if I'm going to buy a retro action figure, then I'm going to buy it loose and complete. Loose and complete. I'm not going to shell out a ton of money for something in the package. In fact, my buddy, the Vintage Gamer, he had a he put up a video where he put up a short where someone was showing off their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle vintage collection. I guess they might have had the whole thing. Oh, we got an ice level with classic ice mechanics. Slippery. And don't get me wrong, it was an impressive collection, But one of the top comments really stuck out to me and, gave me pause to think. He said, are you ever going to open it? Because at some point it just looks like a collection of boxes. I tend to find myself more and more agreeing with that statement. Put some out, pose them. Because if you're going to keep them in the package, especially something like, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle line from Playmates, it's not exactly the best in the package. It's not exactly the best looking. It's not like the McFarlane figures, which look outstanding in the package. No idea where we are. There we go. But if you love them and you have no intention of reselling them, then you might as well open them. Whoa. Yeah, this game really isn't holding your hand. So when we get to I imagine the Bowser castles, and it looks like this might be one of them, that I'm going to struggle with the most, are the ones where you have to learn the pattern. Up, down, up, middle, up. This one looks pretty tricky. Let's see if we can puzzle this one out. Does look like that was the correct solution. All right, last shot. And this is the first one. It's only coming at the third castle. I think the fourth castle in the original Super Mario Brothers is the one that where the puzzles start. I'm gonna have to look it up at some point. I have no idea what the solution is. Oh, well, whatever. Oops. Well, I guess I found it, but too late. And you do get a continue option, which is nice, but we're good. We've been playing for about just under 40 minutes, so. Anyway, that's me just goofing off with Super Mario 2 Japan. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll come back and do something maybe not as interesting, but fun another time.